Have you ever found yourself in a quiet moment, scrolling through stories of remarkable people artists, scientists, humanitarians, and felt a faint, almost imperceptible ache? A quiet pang of inadequacy. You look at the grand tapestries of their lives, woven with purpose and impact, and then you look at your own. It can feel small, unremarkable. As if you're floating in a vast gray expanse, waiting for a purpose to be handed to you. Carl Jung, one of the great explorers of the human mind, offered a profound insight that turns this entire notion on its head. He said, "As far as we can discern, the sole purpose of human existence is to kindle a light of meaning in the darkness of mere being." He wasn't talking about grand achievements. He wasn't talking about fame or fortune. He was talking about a journey inward, into the very parts of ourselves we've been taught to fear and ignore. Imagine for a moment that your consciousness, everything you know about yourself, your thoughts, your beliefs, your identity is a small, sturdy ship sailing on a vast ocean. This is your ego. You know this ship well. You can polish its deck, mend its sails, and navigate the familiar sunlit waters of your daily life. But beneath your ship lies an ocean of unimaginable depth, dark and mysterious. This is your unconscious. And in its deepest, most hidden trenches, live creatures you've never seen, ancient currents you've never felt. This is what Jung called the shadow they, home of everything you have disowned about yourself. And it is here, in this intimidating darkness, that the true map to a meaningful life is hidden, not as a destination to be reached, but as a power to be harnessed. The purpose of your life, according to Jung, is not to sail in the shallow waters forever, but to become the brave captain who dares to explore the depths, to understand the whole of your ocean, and in doing so, to kindle that light in the darkness. This journey is not for the faint of heart. It requires courage. But it is a journey every one of us can take. It begins not by looking for a map in the outside world, but by building a vessel strong enough to descend into our own. If this idea of navigating your own inner ocean, of finding meaning not in what you achieve but in who you become, is already sparking something within you, a flicker of recognition in the deep, take a moment to subscribe to Mind Decode Explained. We journey through these intricate landscapes of the mind together, exploring the hidden currents that shape our lives. The first command for any captain on this voyage is deceptively simple. Get to know your darkness. Jung's words echo this sentiment. Your visions will become clear only when you can look into your own heart. Who looks outside, dreams. Who looks inside, awakes. Many of us believe we know ourselves. We can list our strengths, our weaknesses, our likes and dislikes. We feel we are at the helm of our ship, but in reality, we are often just passengers on a vessel steered by invisible currents. We over-identify with our persona, which Jung described as the social mask we wear. It's the polished deck of the ship, the pristine sails, the face we show to the world to be liked, to be accepted, to fit in. We have a mask for work, a mask for our family, a mask for our friends. But the mask is not the ship, and the surface is not the ocean. The shadow contains all the parts of ourselves we deemed unacceptable and threw overboard: our anger, our envy, our laziness, our selfish desires. It might also hold secret passions, creative impulses, or vulnerabilities we were taught to be ashamed of. Because these things are in the unconscious, we are by definition unaware of them. But they don't simply disappear. They become the unseen creatures of the deep, the powerful currents that pull our ship off course. You might find yourself suddenly lashing out in anger, feeling a wave of inexplicable sadness, or sabotaging your own success, and you have no idea why. It is the shadow, exerting its influence from the depths. So how do we begin this descent? We must build our own bathysphere, our own submersible, for introspection. This is the practice of what Jung called shadow work. It's not a one-time event. It's a continuous process of observation and reflection. Journaling is a powerful tool. At the end of the day, don't just record what happened. Ask yourself the deeper questions. When I felt that flash of irritation today, what was really behind it? When I felt that surge of envy looking at someone's success, what desire in me does that point to? Why did I say yes when every part of me wanted to say no? What was the authentic impulse? And why did I ignore it? You are not judging, you are simply observing. You are the deep-sea biologist, cataloging the life forms in your own ocean with curiosity, not condemnation. Another powerful way the shadow reveals itself is through projection. Think of it like your ship's sonar. It sends out a signal, and what it pings back reveals what's hidden in the deep. Often, the traits in others that infuriate us the most, that trigger a disproportionate emotional reaction, are reflections of our own disowned shadow. As Jung suggested, the person who judges selfishness in others with intense vitriol may be deeply repressing their own selfish desires. The one who cannot tolerate impatience is often at war with their own inner restlessness. So, the next time you feel a powerful judgment arise, pause, turn the sonar inward. Ask, is there a part of me that is like this? A part of me that is afraid of being like this? This isn't about blaming yourself. It's about using the outside world as a mirror to see your own hidden depths. This act of bringing the unconscious into consciousness is the first step toward self-realization, toward becoming whole. It's the beginning of awakening. Once you've begun to chart these dark waters and identify the strange creatures within, the second stage of the journey begins. You must work with what you find. Jung offered a revolutionary perspective. I don't aspire to be a good man. I aspire to be a whole man. The goal of this exploration is not to destroy the creatures of the deep. You cannot. Attempting to do so is like trying to boil the ocean. Many people make this mistake. They discover their anger, their envy, their fear, and they are horrified. Their instinct is to repress it even harder, to shove it back into the abyss. They believe that by ignoring their shadow, they can become good, people-gentle, productive, selfless. But this is a profound misunderstanding of our own psychology. Repression doesn't eliminate a trait. It gives it power. It's like locking a beast in the cargo hold of your ship. It will fester, grow stronger in the dark, and at a moment of weakness when you are stressed, tired, or emotionally vulnerable, it will burst through the hatch and seize control of the helm. The sudden, uncontrollable rage, the bout of self-destructive behavior, the inexplicable act of betrayal, these are often the actions of a long-starved shadow. The path to wholeness, to a meaningful life, lies not in repression, but in integration. This is the true work of the captain. You must learn to understand the creatures of your deep and find their purpose within the ecosystem of your psyche. Your anger, that terrifying deep-sea predator, is not inherently evil. In its destructive form, it can wreck your relationships and your life. But when integrated, it becomes the energy to set boundaries, to fight for justice, to protect what you love. It's a powerful engine for your ship if you learn how to steer it. Your envy, that stinging jellyfish, points directly to what your heart desires. Instead of letting its poison paralyze you, you can follow its direction to clarify your own goals and ambitions. Your laziness, that vast, slow-moving whale, may be a signal from your body and mind that you are burned out and in desperate need of rest and reflection. It's not an enemy to be conquered, but a messenger to be heeded. This is what Brené Brown's work on vulnerability illuminates so powerfully. The shame we feel about our shadow or imperfections, our fears, our dark emotions is what keeps us from embracing our wholeness. We believe that to be worthy of connection and belonging, we must present a perfect, polished persona. But true connection and true self-acceptance comes from having the courage to be imperfect, to own our whole story. Integrating the shadow means asking, how can this trait serve me? In what context is this emotion useful? It's about moving beyond the simplistic binary of good and bad and embracing the complex, nuanced reality of who you are. When you accept and integrate your shadow, you don't become darker. You become more authentic. Your ship is no longer at war with its own ocean. You are more balanced, more harmonious, and you are finally, truly, at the helm. With a deeper knowledge of your inner world and a new relationship with your shadow, the third stage of the journey becomes possible. You must take action. Jung's pragmatic wisdom cuts straight to the point. You are what you do, not what you say you'll do. Self-realization is not a passive intellectual exercise. It is not enough to simply chart your inner ocean from the safety of the captain's quarters. A map is useless if you never set a course. The purpose of life is found in practice, in the living, breathing expression of your whole self in the world. So many of us live our lives reactively. We are like ships without a rudder, drifting on the prevailing winds and currents of circumstance. We react to what life throws at us. We wait for opportunities to appear. We hope for inspiration to strike. Even after doing profound inner work, it's easy to fall into the trap of thinking the journey is complete. We've explored the depths, we understand ourselves better, and now we can relax. But this is where the true test begins. To live a meaningful life, you must shift from being a reactive drifter to an active navigator. You must choose a direction. But how? How do you start living actively? You do it by challenging yourself, by asking the big questions, and then translating the answers into action. Once you have a clearer sense of your whole self, your light and your shadow, you can begin to ask, what do I truly believe in? What are my core values? What kind of contribution do I want to make to the world, no matter how small? How can I act in a way that aligns with this newfound authenticity? These questions provide the coordinates for your destination. Let's take the common dream of writing a book. The reactive person waits. They wait for the perfect idea, for a block of free time, for a wave of inspiration to carry them. They dream of being an author, but their actions are those of a dreamer. The book remains a ghost ship, a tantalizing mirage on the horizon. The active navigator, the person who has integrated their shadow, approaches it differently. They know their potential for laziness, so they create a writing schedule and stick to it with discipline. They know their fear of imperfection, so they give themselves permission to write a messy first draft. They know their capacity for envy, so they use the success of other writers as fuel, not as a source of despair. They finish the story. They proactively seek feedback. They face the daunting prospect of sending it out to agents. They are what they do. They are a writer. This applies to any goal, whether it's a career change, a creative pursuit, or a more abstract aspiration like becoming a more compassionate person. If you want to positively influence the next generation, what does that look like in action? Does it mean becoming a parent, a mentor, a teacher, a volunteer? You must choose a vessel for your purpose and then begin the work of building it. A life of meaning is not discovered. It is forged through conscious, deliberate action. It's the difference between being a tourist on your own life's journey and being its captain. Of course, the moment you decide to take action, to steer your ship toward a chosen horizon, you will encounter the fourth and perhaps most formidable challenge: fear. Jung knew this well, stating, "Where your fear is, there is your task." Action implies risk. Taking a risk means you might fail, and the prospect of failure is terrifying. This fear is the primary reason most people remain in the safe harbor of a reactive life. It's the great storm on the edge of the map, marked with, "Here be dragons." You want to start that business, but you're afraid of financial ruin. You want to have that difficult conversation, but you're afraid of rejection. You want to share your art with the world, but you're afraid of criticism. This fear is the guardian of your potential. It stands at the gateway to every meaningful endeavor. Many people believe that bravery is the absence of fear. They wait until they are no longer scared to act. But that day will never come. Bravery is not the absence of fear. It is acting in spite of it. As with the shadow, you cannot eliminate fear by ignoring it. It will simply become another monster in the deep, a kraken that wraps its tentacles around your ship and holds it in place. The task is to face your fear, acknowledge it, give it a name. When you feel paralyzed, ask yourself, what specifically am I afraid of? What is the worst-case scenario? And this is the crucial part though, could I handle it? This is not the same as anxious rumination, which is just aimlessly circling the storm. This is preparation. This is the captain studying the weather charts, securing the hatches, and plotting a course through the storm, not around it. If you're writing a book, prepare for rejection. Have a plan for what you'll do if no one is interested. But also, prepare for success. Prepare for what happens if you find an agent. By looking at the fear clearly, you strip it of its monstrous, undefined power. It becomes a known variable, a weather pattern you can navigate. As the philosopher Viktor Frankl wrote in Man's Search for Meaning, our ultimate freedom is the ability to choose our attitude in any given set of circumstances. We cannot always choose our fears or the storms that come our way, but we can choose how we respond. The fear itself points you toward your purpose. The very thing you are most afraid to do is often the very thing that will give your life the most meaning. Your fear is a compass. Follow it. Sail directly into it. Because on the other side of that storm is a new ocean of possibility, and the discovery of a strength you never knew you possessed. This brings us to the final vital wisdom for our journey. You must accept the bad. In his infinite understanding of the human condition, Jung observed, "Even a happy life cannot be without a measure of darkness." And the word happy would lose its meaning if it were not balanced by sadness. You have learned to know yourself. You are committed to integrating your shadow. You are taking brave action in the face of fear. Does this guarantee a perfect life of smooth sailing and constant triumph? Absolutely not. In fact, it almost guarantees the opposite. The people who live the most meaningful lives are often the ones who encounter the most hardship, because they are the ones who take the most risks. There will be storms you cannot control. There will be times your ship is damaged. You will send out your manuscript, and it will be rejected by every publisher. You will launch your business, and it will fail. You will pour your heart into a relationship, and it will end. This is not a sign that your life lacks purpose. It is the very fabric of a meaningful life. As Jung understood, there can be no light without dark. Joy is only so profound because we have known sorrow. Success is only so sweet because we have tasted failure. Victory is only possible if defeat was an option. When misfortune strikes, the task is not to despair, but to recontextualize. Every setback, every failure, every moment of pain is a new, uncharted part of your ocean. Your reaction to it tells you something new about yourself, about the sturdiness of your ship, and about the depths of your own resilience. You learn that you can survive the storm. You discover that you are stronger than you thought. As the Stoic philosopher Marcus Aurelius would advise, the obstacle becomes the way. Failure isn't the end of the journey, it is part of the journey. It is data, it is growth. This is the ultimate secret of Jung's philosophy. The meaning of your life is not found in arriving at the destination. It is not about whether you become a published author, a successful CEO, or a celebrated artist. The meaning lies in the journey itself. It is found in the courage it took to write the book, regardless of its fate. It is found in the integrity with which you ran your business, even if it closed. It is found in the authenticity you brought to your relationships, even the ones that ended. Meaning is not an achievement. It is a quality of being. By embracing your whole self, taking action, and facing your fears, you become the kind of person who is not merely a dreamer, but a doer. You are uniquely and unapologetically yourself. And that, in and of itself, is the purpose. This journey of adding meaning to your life never truly ends. The ocean is vast. There are always new depths to explore, new currents to understand, new horizons to sail toward. You will continue to experience good and bad, joy and disappointment. This is what makes your life, your journey, so uniquely precious. So be proud of what you have tried. Be grateful for the calm seas and proud of the storms you have weathered. Appreciate every small victory. Know that your life has a purpose, not because of what you will one day achieve, but because right now, in this very moment, you are choosing to be the brave and whole captain of your own magnificent, mysterious, and meaningful life.